Hello, and in this topic video I'm going to look at the topic of school and education because there are often questions in all parts of the speaking test on this topic. So let's take a look at some useful vocabulary. Well, first of all, there's the different types of schools we have. We have primary school, secondary school or high school, and then you can go into higher education, which is college or university. State schools are government funded schools, so usually we pay for them through our taxes in the UK. So they're free for people to go to because they're run by the state, the government. But then you have public or private schools. Now these are words with different meanings, but actually when it comes to schools we use them to have the same meaning. Not entirely sure why, but a public school, you pay to go to it, but it's open to the public, so actually anybody can go. Private school, exactly the same meaning. You need to pay to go to this school. So they're not government funded schools, you pay a fee to attend these schools. Usually at these schools they have a boarding school, so that means that you live and sleep at the school and only go home in the holidays or occasionally at weekends. You can, however, be a day pupil. That means you just go in and you still live at home. There is a topic in IELTS speaking at the moment about describe a topic that you've studied in science, and one of the things I've noticed as an examiner and a teacher is that students struggle with the difference between these words. Science is the subject, a scientist is a person who studies science or who works in science, and scientific is the adjective to describe something in science, so a scientific topic, for example. Scientific research is what you do when you're trying to find out information about a disease, for example. Biomedical science is the study of medicine and science. When you're at school, you follow a curriculum. In the UK, the government decides what is in the curriculum, and these are the topics that you will study at school. Within the curriculum, there are core subjects. In my country, the core subjects are English, maths and science, and that means these subjects are compulsory, they are obligatory, they are mandatory. These are very useful words for IELTS speaking and also for IELTS writing, and they mean you must do something. So English is compulsory, it is a core subject. But then you have optional subjects. For example, in the UK, music is often an optional subject. That means it is non-compulsory. You don't have to study it. So let's have a look at some collocations, words that go together for this topic. Often if they're asking you about schools, they're asking you if you still have contact with your friends from high school, and we can use the collocation to keep in touch with. So you could say, I keep in touch with a few friends from high school, or I don't keep in touch with my friends from high school. A useful collocation, not just for this topic, if I remember rightly, if I am not mistaken. So when you're talking, say, about a subject from school and you're thinking back a number of years, you might not know the date, you might not know exact details about this topic, so you can use if I remember rightly or if I am not mistaken. To have a heavy workload, this is probably my favourite of all the collocations you could use in IELTS because you can put it into just about every topic and it means you have a lot of work to do. So for example, if I was talking about the topic of cinema, do you go to the cinema often? Oh, I used to go to the cinema all the time, but I have such a heavy workload at the moment that I don't have time to go. In this topic, I'm studying science and I have such a heavy workload. I have to do all the theory and all the practical. Do you read a lot of books? Oh, I used to love reading, but because of my heavy workload, I don't read as much as I used to. It's a great collocation. Make sure if you don't remember anything else from this video that you remember that one. STEM subjects. There's a lot of talk about STEM subjects in the UK at the moment, and it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Maths, and there's a real push in the UK by companies and by the government to get more girls interested in STEM subjects. So put that in your IELTS exam because it's quite an impressive collocation. And you might want to explain it, so you'd say STEM subjects such as science, technology, engineering and maths. So you are showing the IELTS examiner that you know what it means. With hindsight, this is a good collocation when you're talking about a topic that was in the past. So if you're talking about a subject you studied at school, and you're saying with hindsight, and that means with the benefit of understanding a situation after it's happened. So with hindsight, I should have studied harder at school because actually the school days are the best days of your life, for example. And to fall behind with your studies, this is a collocation, idiomatic expression, and it means you're not up to date. Because of my heavy workload, I really struggle to get all my work done, but I really don't want to fall behind with my studies because then it makes it much more difficult. Lots of complex vocabulary, certainly in these collocations. Try to learn a few. Remember a heavy workload. It's a great one. Thanks for watching.